today is the actual um, identified or saring paman designated holiday, ano? Dida ini hapag commemorate hiton EDSA People Power Revolution. But from the executive order yesterday, ang mga activities for today igin pahamtang kakulop so that inin pareho nga higayon makakaparigon hiton mga kampanyahan gobyerno ini ng holiday of economics and at the same time mataganin iwag liwat iton aton mga katawhan. May ada iba nga mga grupo nga talagang today gud na magpapahima higayon hiton ira mga activities earlier in the day. May da kita dabaga na hinotisya naton parahan pag commemorate hiton aton EDSA commemoration, no? It's ironic sa ring pamanhan na opinion. Didihiton na Philippine Daily Inquirer, nga haika-37 nga anibersaryo iton 1986 EDSA People Power Revolution, iton aton na lingkod nga presidente in anak han dati nga presidente nga napalus ha serbisyo bunga hini nga pagpakita him pagkabugos hiton mga katawhan, di ba? So siring pamanira ironic nga ada ito hiya nga kabutangan kay maaram man kita as per ako hadto nga time nakaka-monitor na gud kita, nakakaintindi na kita, nakakasantop na gud kitahan mga hitabo no? So hadto nga time nasiring paman President Marcos Jr. Bongbong Marcos was in adult naman hiya Siring pahiton pulong nga ginamit na was no passive observer of the days leading to their family's departure for Hawaii. So kumbaga di mo siguro malugar and for that dilemma na siring ako nga I have high regard for this president siring paman kung baga iba pala nga tao siguro o opisyal kay aadahaiet paglaradngan madali di ba naka-experience naman kita ito keber ko na nategsisiring hit iba saring pa sa iyo labot ko iyo basta't ako no nahuna para nit kaupayan ito mas damo kuno nga mga Pilipino then this is my decision and no one can question that, no? So yun. But this sitting president is I would verily say different, no? So that haluyo nga mapait ini nga kabutangan, I mean eksperyensya dere lahaiya immediate nga pamilya kundi niya tulin, no? This is one experience sa katawo nga dinim pwede mga limtan, dinim pwede tahoban kun ano paman nga equally or maybe even more as in importante, no? Like becoming the president of a country. So ada nasa rin kita nga inin aton presidente yana is really made up of a different fiber, saring paman. So diri makuha kay aada ito nga pag abathin budlay, no? But obligado man hiya nga kilalon ini, no? So for that saring ko pa diri kita hito liwat matalikod hin pag kilala or pagpasalamat. Saring ko pa diri iton nga waray choice. Iton na presidente. Obligado hiya pagkilala. But then, he can exercise kung iton iya baga larang hito. Nga pwede pagbuhaton. If only to soften the impact, if I may say. But, diri, kumbaga, ada inihiya nga kabutangan. Saring pa hinididi nga, op-ed, Iton presidente, pain because of the memories that must be dredged up every time EDSA is mentioned. But exultation because 37 years after their ignominious exit from the country, they're back. Diba? So, siring pa, may redemption, pero diri mawawara kung kay nga ginkuha Hira, siring pahampakian na akon, ano ba ini nga aton na imo ikakasiring didahini nga hiton ibang nga mga tawo na diri nga pag-istoryahan pa, na diri nga dumdumon pa, na diri nga officially may larang it gobyerno nga dahin sugad nga hitabuhan ed sa People Power Revolution. Well, siring ko to each his own nga dahiton ira mga opinyon, nga dahit ira mga pagsantop, nga dahit ira panginahanglan didahini nga hitabo. But ako, I would verily say na diri iton hiya mapapara, no? Bes pa kita hito magdiniri, bes pa kita hito magpinirit, iparaon it letra physically, it can never be erased, di ba? In the hearts and minds of the people affected at different levels, di mo iton mapapara. In the hearts and minds of some people who joined, may mga pagbasol hira, yet di mo iton mapapara. So, siring pa man, let's just, siring pa, take the high road, no? Kuhauntan, pinakamaupay nga pwede makuha naton in terms ito naton kalugaringon nga pagpauruupay, nga hiton aton komunidad, or it aton nasod for that matter, from this mga incident and become a better person, and become a better country. Diba? Diri ka makakasiring nga may maupay kung waray ka tinatandingan. Anyway, sige. Ano ba yan? But if only to emphasize, dida, iton na sitwasyon ba where our president is sitting, baga, nasa rin kita nga ako mahatag man ta hito nga pagkilala hini nga aton presidente at ubangan hini nga baga kabutangan. Pero parallel to that, Parallel to that. Iton aton nasud yan na bagahin ayat-ayatan gudiya hinduro, ha? Pag tigaman, haed sa commemoration, itdag ko nga issues naton it soberanyo, it at teritoryo. Kumbaga, it aton gihapon existence as a Filipino, as Philippines for that matter, naaayat. And we hope nga baga may ada kita hito. Dako nga ikakaamot as a Filipino, as an individual, so that diri nala sugad kita nga madali nga pagtatamak-tamakan in China at ira mga karuyag signon bisan kon iton pagkilala hit kalibutan among amity of nations, may ada kita lagi mga ginkikilala nga mga prinsipyo, nga mga kasabutan that are sometimes superior to historical impact. I mean historical in bearings, di ba? Kay gintatarangduan man ito. But iba talaga itong China. Anyway, sige. Pero balitaw yan it akon karuyag nga pag-restoryahan naton ini nga RCEP. Usa pa ini. Kumbaga ano ba kita? Itat kahimulsanan, pag-aapi, hini nga mga organisasyon, hini nga mga kasarabutan, o pulit ibang nga mga nasod. Talaga ba nga kita nakakabenepisyo hini? O kung we are only at the losing end? Or this nga mga endeavors are good, it diferensyala itat mga tao nga natuinan pagpahigayon hini. Sige, kung ano takon ito di na karigsigon, isi-share ko iyo kapag balik kita naton. Hiruhimangraw La. Ano oras naton? Alas 5:07.
This time check is brought to you by ACS Manufacturing Corporation. ISO certified. World-class quality.
Champion Superpower with X-Stain Technology. Champion Superpower with X-Stain Technology.
Si Mommy at si Washing Machine believe sa Pride Washing Machine Detergent.
Hello, Washi!
Hello, Mommy!
Laundry day na naman! Ready ka na sa mancha, chocolate, putik, libag?
Kaya yan ang Pride Washing Machine Detergent. May triple stain-away formula. Tanggal ang makapit, madikit, at malupit na dumit mancha. Easy ang labada.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon.
All you need is pride. All you need is pride.
Pride Detergent, manufactured by ACS Manufacturing Corporation. ISO certified, world-class quality.
ACS Star Wax, Star Wax, Wax. Star Wax, Star Wax, Wax. Always remember, sa paglinis, pakitawin ang sahig. Mrs. Star Wax, Wax. Kitaw na to the max.
Star Wax, ang #1 floor wax. May waterproof formula. Buhusan man hin tubig, balik ingat lagi hapon ang salog.
Star Wax, Wax. Kitaw na to the max, max, max.
Star Wax Floor Wax manufactured by ACS Manufacturing Corporation. ISO certified, world-class quality.
ACS.
Calabar, mabango at mura pa. Good vibes! Calabar, mabango at mura pa. Good vibes! Calabar, nakaka-good vibes! Calabar, nakaka-good
Kala Detergent Bar. Mabango, mura, kaya
good vibes! Sa panahon ngayon, kau ba'y sigurado? Kau ba'y protektado? Ang pamilya ay i-shield mo.
laban sa bakterya.
I-shield mo.
Laban ng pati virus.
I-shield mo.
Shield Bath Soap. Patay ang 99.9% of bacteria and virus tested. Bilib ang mga eksperto sa Philippine Nurses Association.
Sa sakit protektado.
I-shield mo.
Pamilya'y protektado.
I-shield mo.
Shield Bath Soap. Manufactured by ACS Manufacturing Corporation. ISO certified world-class quality.
ACS.
Pride Bar Blue. Hindi lang puti, kisla puti. Pag nilaban sa Pride Bar Blue, ang puting damit ay magiging
Mas puti ito, mas puti ito, mas puti ito.
sa Pride Bar Blue. Pwedeng hindi na ako magtina, anyel o bleach dahil ang Pride Bar Blue ay may power whitener na nanunuot sa bawat hibla. Kaya ang damit ay kisla puti at panayan pa sa kamay.
Mas puti ito, mas puti ito, mas puti ito.
Pride Bar Blue with power whitener. Hindi lang puti, kisla puti. Pride Bar Blue. Manufactured by ACS Manufacturing Corporation. ISO certified. World-class quality.
ACS. Nag-champion, super power na. Mura siya. Tanggal pa, max mancha. Champion, tipid ka. Bili na. Sa presyong abot kaya.
Champion Supra Power with X-Stain Technology. Max linis, max sulit.
Malaksi nga resulta ng laboratory ng X-ray yan imo biling pakadtula ha FCE Polyclinic and Diagnostic Center. Oo, mga sangkay, mga bagog, state-of-the-art ang ira mga lab equipment sugad itong X-ray, ultrasound, clinical laboratory ng ECG. Diri na kamo mahulakin maiha kaya yung X-ray and ultrasound result makukuha dayon sa 20 minutos. Ang complete blood count makukuha lahin 5 minutos. May daliwa tira hypertensive profile, sugad ang FBS, RBS, BUA, creatinine, total cholesterol, HDL, LDL, triglyceride, sugad liwatan electrolyte profile, potassium, sodium, chloride, calcium ng pH ug liver profile, alphos, total bilirubin, B1, B2, SGOT, SGPT. Available gihapon ang hemoglobin A1C, CRP ngan H. pylori. Ang resulta hini nga mga examination makukuha mo dayon sa kublahin usa ka oras. Pakadtuhan mga moderno ngan bag-o nga mga gamit pan laboratorio ka FCE Polyclinic and Diagnostic Center. Gindudumara ni Dr. and Mrs. Francisco C. Estanislao, Senator Inahi nga dalan siyudad ng Tacloban. Ang butika Estanislao mag-usa hiton klinik.
DYVL, Voice of Leyte, Aksyon Radyo.
Balik kita, didahini nga aton pagkahampang yan nga Sabado nga adlaw. Oo, sering pa man, ini nga RCEP. Bangin nalilipat ka mo, hiton aton rice tarification law, nabati gihap ka mo hin RCEP dito. The main difference is dako induro. Ang rice tarification law nga RCEP is F ito, katapusan funds. Inihiya nga RCEP nga akong ginsisiring is a cooperation, no? Regional, yeah. Oh, tama. Inihiya nga pagkaurusa, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP. Ayon, oo, RCEP kay inihiya nga Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership sa inihiya nga kasabutan a free trade agreement, largest kuno ini in the world nga free trade agreement. Ang Pilipinas inmapi tinmangdo nga da ini nga irestorya amo nga matuod before hiya maging kaparte aton din hi mga reglamento, mga regulations kinahanglan hiya nga i-gratify uyunan hiton aton Senado sigon hiton nahiuunod hit aton Batakan balaod. And good man, ginratify na inihiyahan Senado kundiin 20 nga mga senador an binutos para hini nga RCEP. Senador Risa Ontiveros voted against it, while ang iya bugto bugtohan presidente, Senador Amy Marcos, nag-abstain hiya. Oo, dida ini nga pagbotos. So you will wonder, ada init iya committee, hiya an chair hini nga committee, igin undong na inihan presidente nga yabugto. Yet an aton dida senadora ruhaduhaan good siguro hiya. Dida hini nga pag api pagkarawat han Pilipinas hini nga RCEP. Diri ko liwat hiya mababasol. No, kung iyo la pagsusulsugon it mga sitwasyon, again, lagi nga sinusudlan naton nga mga mga kasabutan habugos sa kalibut ahin pira nga mga nasod it kalibutan. Bagada na hindi kahiton makasiring kaupayan. Kaylok, mapikitahan World Trade Organization? Ano nangyari ito naton kabutangan? Ungod, nagiging nangangada kita at mapa. Pero from there, nakamaximize ba talaga kita? Hiton mga potentials dito. How many years back since kita umapi? Ini nga pagpasa naton iton rice tarification law, ini gihapon in pagkilala hiton aton pagin mga amyaw it iba nga mga nasod kay gimbubulkas sini dinhi it mga tariff so that masayunay ang pagsulod ha aton hiton bugas nga kinahanglanon naton kay gintatangduan di man kita hito nakakaabot pa hin self-sufficiency. May pundo nga ginaalutaga para kabuligan iton mga mag-uruma magtarano min humay. Sige daw. May official na ba nga pagsulsog han impact kini nga daton mga mag-uruma? It loose nga ginirestoryahan nag-iban hin pera ka porsyento lugod han kahimtang hakita han mga mag-uruma nga supposedly mai-improve. Anyway, dida hini nga pagtaga RCEP. So amo na iton. RCEP ko minabatayan niyo na nasaring ang mga proponents ini nga kita nala it diri api ni hiton ASEAN country. Well, ang good man kay iton RCEP ada initon 10 members an ASEAN sugad man iton mga countries dinhi Asia Pacific, Australia, China, Japan, South Korea, New Zealand. Amo ini kuno iton bagaada na hiton. Amo ini iton region nga may ada population hin about 2.1 billion or 30% iton global gross domestic product. Kumbaga, hausa kasiplat na masaring kagud nga kauupay man daw, 'di ba? Kung magin kaparte kita hito, kay sigurado kita hito nga makakabenepisyo, 'di ba? Pareho ba kung iton free enterprise, free economic enterprise talaga nagriresulta gud iton hin mga benepisyo, nagmamaupay iton mga pagnegosyo na abrihin mga oportunidad hin damo nga mga tawo. Pero sige daw, kay nga sugad nala nga nadiri hini it mga agribusiness sector. Pero iton business sector in general, yun hini, no? And aton mga economic managers, iton kanang gobyerno economic team waray gud dirahunong han pagdinuso hini, especially nga pagtikang an aton presidente Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. baga diri gud diya sugad ka kumbinsido pa hini nga RCEP pagtikang. In fact didahan mga pagkampanya medyo diri ka makasiring may straight nga pag-undong ikaw Bongbong Marcos then panahon ng pagkampanya hang ka presidente. And even at the time nga naging presidente na just recently man lahiya baga nakumbinser nga this is indeed good for our country, so amo ito nga naghangyo nga ratify na hiya. Pero again, itaton mga agribusiness, itaton mga sektor iton agrikultura padayon ang kabarakangan kahadlok. Sige, igin echo ito ni Senador Amy Marcos ito nga sitwasyon and plinastaran talaga ini if only to emphasize adiman ito hiya nga baga pagpahamtang ni Senador Amy Marcos kung kay nga nag-abstain hiya didaan butosay pag-ratify hini nga RCEP.
fully aware of the peculiar situation I am in. This bill having been subject of my own committee, but which I am grateful to the Senate President as well as the Senate President pro tempore for taking over. But in fact, questions remain in my mind as well as they do in many others. And first I would like to state, quoting the Senate President, that international bodies and organizations such as the ADB, the World Bank, the UNCTAD have recognized the immense value and importance of the RCEP, especially in the post-pandemic recovery. However, it should be observed that the UNCTAD itself, in a research paper by Dr. Nishita, indicated that tariff concessions under the RCEP will result in lower exports by the Philippines, completely the opposite claim by the administration. The study shows that the overall effect of RCEP will be a decrease in Philippine exports by $100 million. In another study by Boston University, Rashmi Banga et al., it was shown that Philippine exports will decline by 0.2% and imports would rise by 0.2% at the very least. Even with the sensitive lists of tariff rate quotas, as mentioned by our colleague in the annexes, by Senator Chis Escudero, the paper estimated that the Philippines' balance of trade in goods will deteriorate by a minimum of 1.1% or a loss of USD 260 million per annum. So it will get quite a bit worse before it gets any better. All these losses, on top of an estimated $58 million in tariff revenue losses annually. Are these figures accurate? Do you have any comment? Because I know the DTI, the DA, and the other economic managers' projections are different.
And the list goes on. Saring pa, ni Senador Amy Marcos, dida ito nga iyaliwat pagplastar, han mga researches, han mga sitwasyon, han mga kabutangan, dida ini nga aton pag-istoryahin, opportunities kun kita adi nasulodhin mga kasabutan. And ang mga higayon liwat, kun bisan waray sugad nga kasabutan, may ada gihap kita, bentaha nga nahihikay. Siyempre, ang Senate President, waray liwat hinin tumugot nga diri niya matutugbangan. Ito nga naging opening statement. Chair, committee, dida ito nga ira na pag ratify. So immediately, liwat? Anigin tugbang hini ni Senate President Miguel Zubiri, man. Importante nga maipahamtang liwat ito naton para ba makakita kita, no? Hain ba ini? Ano ba ini? Kay nga haluyo ito nga mga plastada, may ada mga kabaraka. But at the same time, may ada mga assurance, no?
Well, Your Honor, first of all, good afternoon, Your Honor. Mr. President, I always say the proof in the pudding is in the eating, diba? All these studies were made prior to RCEP's ratification on all these other countries, but we have seen in the region, Mr. President, I mentioned it yesterday and in my speech last week. Exports in RCEP countries increased, particularly Vietnam, 16.4% with a total value of $108 billion. Nag-increase. And we're trying to catch up with Vietnam because parang Vietnam is now our peg when we try to get foreign direct investments from other countries. It's always either the Vietnam or Philippines ang gusto nilang puntahan. Second, Thailand, Your Honor. It increased by 7.1% in 2022 alone, soon as they had ratified their treaty. That's about $300 billion, Mr. President. And these are trade to RCEP countries, Mr. President. These are not trade to other nations, Europe or all. These are trade to RCEP countries. In Cambodia, they went up to 4% in 2022. At $31 billion, Mr. President. And I'd like to take note, there's an increase of 17.6% in exports in garments alone. to Australia with a total of 102 million US dollars. The other day, nasa inquirer po, $6.5 million trade deal with Japan on garments. Ito po, 102 million on Australia alone because of RCEP. So ang laki compared to what we were getting in other countries, because I presume it is cheaper to produce it within the RCEP family and to export it because of less tariffs. Malaysia, Mr. President, exports grew by 25%. Can you imagine that, Mr. President? 25%. RCEP countries, and in 2022, it accounted for 58% of total trade of Malaysia. And the list goes on, Mr. President. Before you know it, pati Laos, baka matalo pa tayo sa Laos and even Myanmar in terms of trade within these countries. So, my position there, Mr. President, our neighbors are gaining ground and gaining financially from joining this largest, one of the largest trade agreement areas in our region. And there are so many studies here which can go contrary to what the lady has mentioned. Ang dami. This is 2 pages long to go contrary to what the gentle lady has mentioned. But simplifying it is that our neighbors had gained higher exports from joining RCEP since last year.
Hagoy, nawurok naman hinoon lugod kita hini nga kabutangan. Nasiring iton statement, ito sa nga senador, baga dere pa. Ako nakita hiton nga kaupayan, labi na nga iton kinikita nga epekto hini is not immediate dida nga future. Banging kita kumita hiton ani hini, napulo ka tuig pa iton igahagos. Pero ginririg unan liwat ni Senador Migsubiri nga, dirigad. Adagad, immediately may ada naman sugid nga impact it aton mga amyaw. Tikang hira mag-ratify. So hain man kita hini nga baga pwede magtudlok hit kakurian, hit ayat, hit makaurulang. Sige, kay di man liwat pwede nga dinaton ito liwat tatagan gud hindako nga paghatag doon. So naton la dinhin it consciousness naton nga maabrihan itat hunahuna. Siyempre kung ikaw magbabaligya him produkto, mo man ta iglilitan niya top iton na ultimo giguguti ayi nga masaring ka maupay ini nga produkto. Daro dakoy porsyento nga di ka maghihingaday. Hiton mga karatan problema hini. Kabugusan. Of course, masaring ka nga may dahito mga sugad hini nga baga mga ayat. Pero diri ka magdidetalye ito, pareha siti mo pagdetalye, hit imo pag-undong, pag nga mabaligya, mapalit ini nga produkto, di ba? So, ang ada inihiyaya na nga, baga mga plastada. Siring pa man, research for research. Data for data. No? Content for content. Pero, adi ka makasiring liwat nga waray ini mga gamit. Kay look, it at actual nga kabutangan niya na. Didahini nga larangan. Kumbaga, it agricultural sector naman la. Nga ada, gimpa pangaritan, pwede ka sumiring nga talaga diri sugad ka Rosie as presented. Itman diri rosahon nga nagdidigon good. Senador Amy Marcos nga dahini nga bagay.
So, with no desire to argue with our distinguished Senate President, the data provided must be placed in its proper context. Because even if indeed Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia manifested increases in their trade, the truth is they can't all be credited to RCEP. It means simply that we are trading more actively with our neighbors here in ASEAN. As an example, China-Philippines bilateral trade increased by 8.3% during the first 11 months of 2022, a clear recovery from the pandemic. We were not members of RCEP, but that uptick was very clear-cut. Philippine exports to South Korea increased by 16.9% again during the same period of the first 3 quarters of 2022, where in fact both South Korea and China are RCEP members, and still the Philippines was not. In fact, our increase in trade was greater than these examples stated of Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam without RCEP.
But Madam President, just to Mr. President, let's go to the flip side. The flip side is if we don't join RCEP and we stay isolationist in this region, you think the people that we talked to in Japan last weekend with the president, your brother, will they want to go to the Philippines and expand their trade here? They can take it to Vietnam. They can take it to Cambodia. They can take it to other countries that are within the RCEP because it's more advantageous to them. So the flip side there is, okay, because we're afraid that our exports may go down, and therefore let's not join RCEP. The flip side there is all those who want to expand that are already exporting now will just go to an RCEP member country. And I introduced you last week with a company that wants to build 2,000 e-vehicles. It's an EVT company. It's the biggest e-vehicle company listed in the NASDAQ. Their choice is between Singapore, Johor, or the Philippines. Singapore, why? Because the headquarters in Singapore, the manufacturing will be in Johor. And they held on to the contract signing because they wanted to visit the Philippines. And I brought them here last week. Obviously, it would be more advantageous for them to go to Singapore, Johor if we do not join the RCEP. Because they also want to sell these vehicles within the RCEP regions, not only the United States. So the flip side there is that we don't join RCEP, definitely we will not be able to expand the exports. We will not have a hard time convincing these people to come in and do foreign direct investment in our country. That's the long and short of it.
Sige. Bilin bayaan ko anay ito niya dida nga punto basta na i-share an iya mga pagkason, an iya mga pagruhaduha, an iya mga pamarigon. On the other hand, iton liwat pagpamatuod ngan pagsiguro an igim pahamtang han nag-uundong hini nga balaod non. At this point, ma-break anay ako madali ila. We still have more nga mga details parte hini so that makakita kita hiton husay manggod didahit proseso ngan kun ano ini nga RCEP. Mapahinumdum la kita.
DYVL Aksyon Radio Newscast.
This portion is brought to you by ACS Manufacturing Corporation, ISO certified, world-class quality.
Iton business groups inananawagan kay para buhian na an anay Senador Laila de Lima nga adi nagtitigaman na ito niya ka-unom katuig in detention kakulop o pudan pagtuo nga hiya in hagilayon mapapawarayan sala didahan mga igin aaligar kontra iya han nakalabay nga administrasyon ang Makati Business Club, Pilipinas CEO Circle Justice Reform Initiative, Philippine Women's Economic Network ng Women's Business Council Philippines naghangyo nga dihiton Marcos administration nga magbuhat na iton mga pitad kay basi buhian ini de Lima subay na iton iya constitutional right nga dahin speedy trial. Una na nga himbatian nga ang Department of Justice nasiring dirira mariwa dida hini nga pag buhi ikan dilema ha mga kaso nga ginaatubang niya. Oras alas 5:30.
An oras hatag haiyuhan.
Champion Superpower with X-Stain Technology. Champion Superpower with X-Stain Technology.
Para sa damit na ka-bloom sa bango, subukan ang Charm Fabric Conditioner.
Charm Fat Bar, bangong kumaka-bloom. Charm Fat Bar, damit ay may bango ng salibong bulaklak.
Charm Fabric Conditioner with Stay Fresh Technology. Damit ay ka-bloom sa bango.
Charm Fat Bar, bangong kumaka-bloom. Charm Fat Bar, damit ay may bango ng salibong bulaklak.
Charm Fabric Conditioner. Manufactured by ACS Manufacturing Corporation. ISO certified. World-class quality.
ACS Mag-Champion Superpower na. Mura siya! Tanggal pa, Max Mancha. Champion tipid ka. Bili na sa presyong abot kaya.
Champion Superpower with X-Stain Technology. Max linis, max sulit.
Kamutit na gantos. Matindi nga sebo sa kaldero. Saling nga sabon ada hit em sura. Dishwashing face mo pas ako. Joy with power bula. Pow, 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 power bula. Yes na, tatangit sebo. Pag one wash ka. Ulala. Joy with power bula. Pow, 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 power bula. Yes na.
Joy with Power Bula. Tanggal sebo at tirang sabon with one wash. based on technical tests.
Joy Dishwashing Liquid, now with Power Bula. Sa Joy, todong linis at tanggal sebo sa isang hugasan lang.
Mag-champion, super power na. Mura siya. Tanggal pa, max mancha. Champion, tipid ka. Bili na. Sa presyong abot kaya.
Champion Supra Power with X-Stain Technology. Max linis, max sulit.
DTX 500.
Ako si Alex, nagka-UTI jud ko. Sakit ipangihi og ako pod nga puson sakit. Ipatay ko sa akong misis og DTX 500 tulo ka capsules sa buntag, tulo pod ka capsules sa gabi. Simana lang nawala jud ang sakit. Og nibalik sa normal ang akong pagpangihi. Epektibo jud kayo ang DTX 500.
DTX 500. Mapali sa mga butika. DTX 500.
Ako si Jay. Siging gasakit ang akong likod ug naay history ang among pamilya nga naay sakit-sakit. Pagkadungog na ko sa radyo, naay DTX 500. Ako gitry og inom ka kapsula sa usa ka adlaw. After 2 weeks, gaan na kay akong pamati. Epektibo kayong DTX 500.
DTX 500. Mapali sa mga butika.
DYVL, Voice of Leyte, Aksyon Radyo.
Balik kita, didihin nga aton pagkahampang yan ang akulop. Sa ring paman, landslide ko din niya. Majority ko din yan mga senador nga nakada ito hapag ratify in nagpaluyuhin di ba? Sala nag-abstain o sala tumipa. So syempre, nagkakaburublig hira. An usa hiton gidadaku iman nga nag-endorse ni Senador Loren Ligarda. No? Anon iya baga punto man didahini? Adi man pamatiyan ta.
I am grateful for the very clarificatory questions that you are posing because these are the same questions I asked during the 5-hour hearing and the 7-hour briefing that ensued. Let me just state, Your Honor, that there are many studies on the impact of RCEP, but only the study by Banga shows the negative conclusions. As we mentioned yesterday, there are studies by Dr. Coro Raton of the Virginia Polytechnic Institute, Dr. Kimba of the Philippine Institute for Development Studies, and many more. And based on the study of Dr. Coro Raton, there will be an improved trade balance, increased welfare, and lower poverty incidence as early as its entry into force, with significant improvements, hopefully, I hope it happens, by 2031. By that year, Your Honor, poverty incidence will decrease, supposedly based on the study, by 3.62%. Real GDP will increase by 1.93% and reduction in poverty gap by 3.49% and reduction in poverty severity by 3.82%. According to Dr. Kimba, there will be a 10.47 increase in exports and 2.02% increase in real GDP. Of course, I agree with you. These are studies, these are statistics, these are numbers. We can listen to Banga, to Kimba, to several experts here, and I feel for you. We share the same advocacies. We've talked about it privately. And yung pangamba nyo, pangamba din po natin. Matutuwa po kayo na meron tayong ginawang bago na innovasyon and innovation. In our concurring resolution, which I will read into the record later, are provisions and regulatory clauses that hopefully everybody, including those who are against the RCEP treaty as is, that will mandate and task our agencies whose cabinet members are present here with us today to work on specific sectors so that whatever possibility of adverse impact on that sector will be buffered by the provisions in our regulatory clauses. So, dininig po natin ang hinaing ng bawat sektor. Gaya ng sinabi natin kapon, this is not a magic pill. 33 agricultural tariff lines, 15 agricultural products. We already have several ASEAN FTAs. We have 2 bilateral FTAs. One is with Australia, New Zealand. The other one is JPEPA, which I also voted in favor, by the way, which was also controversial at the time. There was so much pressure also not to vote for it. But it has shown a positive impact. May I just state, Your Honor, before, I don't know if you were in the Senate in 2018, as chair of the Foreign Relations Committee, this representation sponsored the EFTA. And the EFTA with the non-EU countries, which include Switzerland, had a negative balance of trade or trade deficit with the Philippines. But after 2018, and it was pandemic, now at present I am told that there is a positive balance of trade or a trade surplus on account of our export of electric fans and vacuum cleaners made in Laguna to Switzerland, and therefore there's a trade surplus with the EFTA countries. I wanted, just like you, to be convinced that this FTA we are entering into or concurring into will be beneficial to our country. Pero aaminin ko po, yung agam-agam ninyo, malaking parte pa rin nandyan sa akin. But we cannot be left behind, as the Senate President so clearly mentioned, because of all the ASEAN nations, we are the only country, Mr. President, who has not ratified this. And as I mentioned yesterday, pag merong nag-export ng tsokolate mula sa Indonesia, mula sa nagtatanim ng kakao, at binabana ng Japan ang taripa dahil RCEP country siya, paano na yung ating mga gustong mag-export ng tsokolate, base na rin sa local kakao natin, kung hindi tayo sasama ng RCEP dahil zero na ang taripa within 16 years, pag RCEP country ka, pag hindi, ay malaki, 24.3%, 23% ang taripa. Bibilin ba ng mga Hapon ang tsokolate mula Indonesia o ang tsokolate galing Pilipinas? Base na rin sa cacao farmers sa Mindanao, sa iba-ibang lugar, kung hindi ganung kababa ang presyo.
Just a sense of balance and kumbaga accountability na rin, 'di ba? Oo, responsibility nga accountability na rin. Dida iton ini nga mga opisyales iton gobyerno nga desidido gud hinduro. Dida hito nga mga buruhaton, dida hito nga mga pagsulod hing kasabutan nga pwede hira it pamilngan hini pag-aabot hit panahon. Bagan dida ito nga larangan nala it aton baga gini-importante hini dinhi nga aton pagkahampang kahanginan. Kumbaga, let them speak for themselves, let them speak for their interest, and in due time ada it aton paghikay hini nga mga kabatunan, no? So sige. Antes kita di baga kumadto hiton iba pa nga aton di pwede may paangbitini. Finally, ibalik lang nakon iton sa ring pangaman pangkatapusan nga pagplastar ni Senador Amy Marcos, and hopefully it aton di mga sektor nga would largely be affected would somehow be guided. Ngay adi naman gin-ratify naman ini magkakamay-ada ini pag-abringahaw ngan magiging kaparte kita hiton mga benepisyo, hit mga responsibilidad nganit ayat. So iton aton di mga affected sectors should know what to do, no, should be able to take advantage of what we can have in protecting our sector ourselves. Sige, igaunhan ta pa, idididi nga baga pagpahamtang ni Senador Amy Marcos.
May I just raise the following questions by way of manifestation that the sponsors may or may not answer. We are repeatedly told everywhere we go that we are the last country to ratify this trade agreement, this treaty. However, the reality is, at the outset, a major economy refused to even join the discussion. Is it not a fact that India did not join RCEP precisely because of concerns similar to ours here in the Philippines on threats of circumvention of rules of origin, issues of trade deficit, and the potential flood of imported goods? We share the same problems with India, except they're much bigger and they're much stronger. And what about that growing trade deficit? Not projected, but actually recorded already in several countries. This is a major concern po. I would also like to mention that the statement was made by the sponsors that adequate safety nets are provided in the agreement to cover unwarranted or exceptional circumstances. May I simply say that these supposedly sufficient safeguards are no safeguards at all. simply because the success rate for successfully defending Article 20 of the GATT and the Article 14 of the GATT, the Services Agreement, is less than 3%. A study in 2015 reveals that out of 43 cases involving Article 20 of GATT and Article 14 of GATT, only one was successful. Wala naman dyan nananalo eh. Kaya itong mga emergency measures na sinasabi, parang palamuti na lang at parang consuelo de bobo, pagkat hindi naman nagagamit, hindi naman napapanalunan. Ito nga ang kinatatakutan natin. Meron tayong Senate resolution on the concurrence of RCEP, including measures and instructions to government agencies in an attempt to provide additional safety nets to the vulnerable sectors, particularly the agricultural sector. Ito nga ang problema. Nakita natin sa rice tarification law, may fund na sinasabi. Yet studies show that the income of farmers fell by 40%. How do we ensure that the measures indicated will indeed protect the vulnerable sectors? Ito nga ang mga problema natin. May bisa ba talaga itong mga safety nets na to? Ginagamit ba natin ng madalas? At talaga bang may epekto? Yan ang tanong ko. At I would also like to put on record the reported conclusion that there are great potential gains for the Philippine agricultural sector. It is not clear how the sector can capitalize on these potential gains, given the sorry state of agriculture in this country. Presently, we're struggling to provide basic agricultural services that were promised as early as 1994 with the WTO. Hanggang ngayon, in the last 10 years, ang compounded annual growth rate of irrigated areas is only 2%. We cannot deliver the basic services. Do we really believe we can deliver the services necessary to make our farmers capitalize and transform into competitive partners in whatever RCEP has to offer? In addition, a good bulk of the potential exports of Philippine agricultural products will be destined for China. Given the recent moves by our government, which China has specifically already manifested their disappointment with the additional EDCA sites, is it realistic to project that China will be buying all our durians? We're already witness to what has happened in the last few years with the Australia-China trade wars. Is this what we want to happen? And also, realistically, the peak of the fruit bearing for durian is not tomorrow. It's after 10 to 15 years. Our Senate President knows that very well. He comes from Mindanao. And I believe that we should not make these promises simply because we will be fraught to fulfill them. Also, it is claimed that the RCEP will benefit the MSMEs due to a platform called RCEP SME that institutionalizes support and cooperation for them to be integrated in the great global production chain. The truth is, Article 14 of RCEP, the single article pertaining to MSMEs, uses very vague, non-committal words such as encouraging MSMEs, promoting, exploring. By these provisions, are we certain that best practices in trade will in fact be engendered? Is there a sanction? Will they be punished if they don't do this? This is a concern. Lastly, and as I said, I have no desire to torment my peers, most especially my Honorable Senate President, but the proponents of RCEP have stated that joining the trade agreement will result in an increase in electronic exports. But will these reports of electronic exports increases really defray the thousands of jobs already lost in the electronic companies leaving the country due to incentive and other infrastructure concerns. How confident is the DTI at the end of the day that electronic exports will increase due to RCEP, given the reported closures of electronic firms, not only here in southern Tagalog, but also in MEPSA and other places throughout the country? We are also aware of the loss of jobs everywhere in many of these areas. These are my concerns, and I am grateful to the President, to the majority, for allowing me to put them on record.
Ayan. Kumbaga, pag-actualize lah ito. Oo. And kaput la ito. And to remind everyone. Sige, I still have few remaining minutes. Kung kay ano nga aada, ito nga mga kahadlok, di rila iton, itpipira di gobyerno. May dagyap iba pa. Nga ada gihapon iton pagkahadlok, pagkabaraka. Particular, ini iton Ibon Foundation. So, ang IRA Executive Director, Sunny Africa, pinamakianhan, hini nga bagay, sige, tugutan taliwat, nga maipaangbit ito hayo, mahumanlay ni nga pahinomdom.
Si Mommy at si Washing Machine believe sa Pride Washing Machine Detergent.
Hello, Washi!
Hello, Mommy!
Laundry day na naman. Ready ka na sa mancha, chocolate, putik, libag?
Kaya yan ang Pride Washing Machine Detergent. May triple stain-away formula. Tanggal ang makapit, madikit, at malupit na dumit mancha. Easy ang labada.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon.
All you need is pride. All you need is pride.
Pride Detergent, manufactured by ACS Manufacturing Corporation. ISO certified, world-class quality.
ACS.
Para di madaling masira ang ngipin ng pamilya, ngayon pa lang,
Unique toothpaste for brushing every after kumain.
dahil ang unique toothpaste may Max Protect formula.
Ngipin ay Max Alaga, Max Protektado pa.
Helps stop cavities even before they start, while keeping breath fresh with regular use.
Unique toothpaste for brushing, para siguraduhin ngipin ay Max Alaga, Max Protektado pa. Unique
Max Alaga, Max Protectado with unique toothpaste maximum fluoride protection. Manufactured by ACS Manufacturing. ISO certified world-class quality.
ACS.
Ang buhay ay masaya pag ang hugasin ay easy, lalo na sa masebong kaldero at kawali.
Kaya mag-Smart Dishwashing Paste. Pang heavy-duty hugasin.
Ang galing, galing, galing.
Smart!
Yan ang Smart Dishwashing.
May double tanggaling formula. Tanggal galingan sebo at bakterya. Kaya ang Smart #1 Dishwashing Paste.
Ang galing, galing, galing.
Smart!
Yan ang Smart Dishwashing.
Smart Dishwashing Paste. Manufactured by ACS Manufacturing. ISO certified. World-class quality.
ACS. Mag-champion, super power na. Mura siya. Tanggal pa, max mancha. Champion, tipid ka. Bili na. Sa presyong abot kaya.
Champion Supra Power with X-Stain Technology. Max linis, max sulit.
Mag-champion, super power na. Mura siya. Tanggal pa, max mancha. Champion, tipid ka. Bili na. Sa presyong abot kaya.
Champion Supra Power with X-Stain Technology. Max linis, max sulit.
DYVL, Voice of Leyte, Aksyon Radyo.
Boy, no balik kita. Dida hini nga aton pag-istorya hini nga RCEF. I know, siring pa man, parit aton din hibaga mga pag-istorya. Sometimes, hagoy, gagad man ako hiton. Irahan nala ito nga istorya. Buda na gen sangkay. Kung iton na istoryahon, nagdadabi na hin mga mag-uruma, nagdadabi na hit gudti-gudti nga mga magneregosyo nga na-comprise in more than 95% hiton aton ekonomiya. Amoy nit di kita pwede hini basta na lang tumalikod, however technical, however tiring, daunting, challenging ini nga mga istoryahon. I think kinahanglan kita humunong, mamati, maminsar ngan maniguro. Labi na it aton hito dida mga sektor nga naapektuhan. Kay in all of this, adiman iton baga siguro pagrig-on la hiton mga fears, hiton mga kabaraka, mga ruhaduhaan hiya, tagundirian hiya pag-undong hini dida ini kan Senador Marcos, no? So an Ibon Foundation o sa inihiyang non-government organization nga ada hiton pagtutok hini nga baga mga bagay-bagay good, mga detalyado, may research siya nga gimbubuhat, impact nga dahit lokal nga hulagway sa anot sering. Dida itong baga mga sering pa mga kabarakan nga mga punto dida hini adiman inihi Sunny Africa hiton Ibon Foundation.
There are opportunities for growth to those who are in a position to take advantage of those opportunities. Unfortunately, after 30 decades of free trade agreements, not just the WTO, with ASEAN, with Japan and other countries, unfortunately, after 30 years of free trade agreements, 40 years of globalization, domestic capacity in agriculture and industry has been decimated. So when we talk about market access, it's actually market access of foreign locators in the Philippines who can now, have more smoother value chains within their own supply chains. And I think that's a key distinction. Just because it's a foreign investor located in the Philippines doesn't mean you will reap all the benefits from their exporting. It will remain an enclave in the Philippines. It will remain a little cog in their global value chains. It will remain disconnected from the local economy. And I think that's one thing that I think is so frustrating about the RCEP and actually the sugar issue. We need government intervention to make sure that we strengthen agriculture, MSMEs, industry to take advantage of market access abroad. But if they behave so badly, abusing their authorities, undermining all the possibilities for government intervention, it breeds cynicism on the part of what government can do to help the domestic economy. Secondly, it actually breeds corruption and, with all its adverse effects. It should be a two-way street. Unfortunately, if you look at all the trade agreements we've entered into over the last 30 years, it's been a one-way street. Just to take one example, there's always a standard section in free trade agreements called the prohibition of performance requirements on foreign investment. That's actually quite a dangerous section which exists in the RCEP, which exists in JPEPA, which exists in all the other free trade agreements. It basically says when foreign investors come here, we cannot oblige them to transfer technology. We cannot oblige local content. We cannot oblige export and import controls on them. We cannot oblige certain hiring of Filipinos and other things. But the problem is, these are exactly the benefits we should be getting from foreign investment. But by signing on to RCEP and the past agreements that says we prohibit foreign investment performance requirements, we're actually tying our hands to make that a two-way street. In the end, it becomes a one-way street. Foreign investment has poured into the Philippines. We have more foreign investment now than we have ever had as a share of the economy in terms of absolute terms. But we have not developed local industry and not MSMEs, not agriculture, because the government is not supporting it. Sir, one short example. Did you know the MSME budget has been cut in the 2023 budget? So any sort of claims that MSMEs can benefit from RCEP, if they're not capacitated by government support, through cheap loans, through trainings, through what have you about labor productivity, they will not be able to take advantage of these abstract market access conditions. More support for MSMEs and domestic producers, then we can take advantage of market access. Otherwise, it's a one-way street. We're going to keep heading down this dark path we've been on for the last 40 years.
Well, I hope klaro ito hiyang kabutangan and that bisan pa man para personally and in conclusion nasa ring ako nga bisan kun ada ito nga gidadagkui nga mga ayat ada ito nga nabatasanan na nga aton resulta kun nan nga ngapi kita sugadini we should not stop, no? Angay la nga baga aton talaga ini atubangon ngan himuon kun it pwede nga iton maximum nga benepisyo nga ginsisiring aton maaangkon didahini. Salamat madamon oras. Tugtuban sunod nga higayon kita magkahampang hito naton Hiruhimangraw La. Ako'y Louie Quebec, maupay nga kulop hayong atanan.